The biopharmaceutical drug market is expanding at an unprecedented pace, fueled by groundbreaking innovations and the rapid adoption of new therapies. But with progress comes complexity, soaring costs, evolving regulations, and persistent access challenges. How is the industry adapting to navigate these hurdles? And what strategies are unlocking new opportunities for patients, providers, and innovators alike? I'm Michael Sarshad, your host, along with Sarah Rubin, for this special series of the Syneos Health podcast in collaboration with Assembia and the Specialty Pharmacy Summit. In conversation with key thought leaders and industry experts, we'll explore the dynamic forces shaping the market today. Tune in as we discover key strategies, industry trends, and collaborative innovations driving the future of market access and specialty pharmacy. Welcome to the Syneos Health podcast, Navigating Modern Market Access.
Hi, I'm Sarah Rubin from Syneos Health, and your host for this episode of the Syneos Health podcast special series, Navigating Modern Market Access. Today, I am joined by Cheryl Allen, founding partner at Curatio Advisors. Cheryl, welcome to the Syneos Health podcast.
Absolutely, and thank you so much. My name is Cheryl Allen, and I'm a pharmacist by background. I've been in the specialty space since about the mid-90s. I have my own independent specialty pharmacy, grew it, sold it. I joined Priority Healthcare, one of the early specialty pharmacies, one of the innovators in the space, they like to say. And then through some acquisitions, I actually started my own consulting, spent some time through that in healthcare information technology, where we built a web-based tool for use by payers and specialty pharmacies to automate the review of prior authorizations. That tool was actually used very early on by Diplomat, and I was very pleased asked to join that team back in 2011. I was lead on business development and industry relations until the acquisition there by United Healthcare in 2019. I started consulting again and spent some time with some dear groups like the Assembia team and SPIN, Specialty Pharmacy Nursing Network. Before most recently, I was Chief Growth Officer at Panther RX. And then 2 years ago, my partner and I founded Curatio Advisors. We are a team of thought leaders who go deep and wide in the areas of specialty and access to products. I look forward to the discussion today. Thank you so much.
Great, Cheryl. Thank you. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of experience in the space of specialty pharmacy, patient support programs, things like that. So my first question for you is, with more and more specialty-like products in primary care, with complexities like prior authorizations and things like that, how can we help HCP offices and patients navigate through the challenges of utilization management?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you asked that question. We're seeing many of these. We used to think of these as sort of like tweener, somewhere in between. And then the term specialty-like or specialty light sort of landed on these types of products. What we here at Curatio like to do is reframe that into the term enhanced retail. And it really refers to more broadly distributed therapies. These require more support, sort of akin to the specialty products. This is due to payer hurdles, complex administration, or even the need for sustained patient engagement. In this reframing, it really helps to identify the product attributes that are driving these sort of complexities. There may be high prior authorization rejection rates. There could be complex titration schedules or the need for side effect management. And what we can do once we identify these is create framework around that complexity of care, understanding the clinical drivers, and then really target support services at these enhanced retail products. By defining it that way, with that clear definition, that's the way that we can then turn to our manufacturers, explain this, and then begin the discussion around bona fide fees for services to measure impact on adherence, persistency, and even patient satisfaction with the programs that we can design.
Great. Well, that leads me perfectly into the next question. These patient support programs that you're mentioning and things like hubs, they're obviously utilized to help navigate access challenges for both HCP offices and patients. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of different types of programs and hubs. What are some opportunities to improve these types of programs?
Yeah, as we reflect back on the conversations and the presentations at the Assymbia meeting, I'm so pleased that for the second year in a row, the Assymbia team gave the audience the opportunity to firsthand hear from the patients. There was a Voice of the Patient panel where Tina Ball, Mark O'Connor, Jessica Krauser, who not only are industry veterans in our space, but they're also patients. And we heard their personal stories of navigating the challenges, and they actually challenged us as an industry to put the patient truly not only at the center of our program designs, but put the patient at the table, seek the voice of the patient as we design these types of programs. You know, one example that was brought up during that presentation was the commonly used adherence kit that many specialty pharmacies and even hubs send out to patient as starter kits. So this is where we anticipate potential side effects. In the instance with oral oncolytics, we often put in maybe something to help with a common side effect of diarrhea. Well, generally, these are in blister packs. And unfortunately, another side effect for our patients is neuropathy in their hands. So we heard the real life story of an industry veteran who was unable to open up that foil packet to help with those side effects. So truly compelling stories. Another instance where we were asked by the panel to think about not only, say, that $18,000 limited distribution drug that we are filling or as a hub we're supporting, but also take more of a holistic view. What else is the patient taking? You know, many patients, for example, have a $5 antidepressant. And were it not for staying compliant to that antidepressant, they may not be compliant to our specialty oral oncolytic altogether. So the charge from that panel of patients was really for us to truly not only consider the patients in our design, but seek the feedback and the voice of the patient, have the patient at the table there.
Obviously, pharma manufacturers typically create the patient support programs, those programs you were just discussing to really help patients not only get on therapy, but stay on therapy. They usually create those during the launch of a drug, so at the beginning of the life cycle of a drug. What are the most important aspects to consider when creating a patient support program or choosing a hub?
We really feel here that the effective commercialization strategy really begins with a deep understanding of the product's clinical profile. What are the attributes there that are driving the nuances in, say, administration complexity? Who is the targeted population? What are the payer dynamics? And by beginning there with those attributes of the individual product, we begin to align those attributes around the channel strengths. So the start really is with the therapy itself. It's not with a vendor menu of saying, you know, who are the players in the space. And when we begin to think about that, some products, for example, demand high-touch nursing services if you're going to send nurses into the home. Others require maybe deep, rich integration to EMRs. So we're starting at the point where we're mapping the unique therapy to the specific partner types within the channel, where the channel is most capable of delivering a real differentiated value. That's really where we see accelerated success, we see patient satisfaction, and really leading to longitudinal adherence for these types of therapies. When we think more broadly around that commercialization support, it's not about creating a hub just because it's standard. It's about creating the right infrastructure to support a specific patient.
Well, Cheryl, thank you so much. That was definitely informative, and we really appreciate your time today.
Wonderful. Thank you for the conversation.
That's all for today's episode of the Syneos Health Podcast, Navigating Modern Market Access. I'm your host, Michael Sarshad. If you have any other topical issues you'd like to hear on this podcast, please send us a message at podcast@syneoshealth.com. For access to more future-focused, actionable life science insights, please visit the Syneos Health Insights Hub at insightshub.health.